Hi, my name is Paul Trani. I'm a developer evangelist for Adobe, and I want to show you how you can use Flash Professional and the code snippets in Flash Professional to make an app under 10 minutes. It's really awesome, really easy to work with code snippets, and I'm going to show you exactly how to do that. So here's my project. I thought, okay, well, what about making basically a portfolio to showcase some images and have some panels in it? That's the idea, is to make this portfolio in Flash Professional. And I could take this portfolio, turn it into an app, put it on an iOS device, put it on an Android device, whatever I want to do with it. But I need to add functionality to it. And I'm going to add that functionality by using the Code Snippets panel. So I'm opening up the Code Snippets panel, which can be found under Window Code Snippets. Here it is. And with Flash CS5.5, we added over 20 new code snippets, a lot of those being centered around mobile. If I take a look at these, we have mobile touch events. So these are the raw touch events that I can get from the device, whether I want to tap. So a tap is just like a mouse click. They work pretty much one and the same. I can use a touch and drag if I want to do some maybe e-learning where I'm maybe matching up some things, add some hit areas to that. A long press, I might have a long press on a photo, and that might display a message or an option to save out that photo to the camera roll. Going into mobile gesture events, what those are is those take those touch events and make them even more useful to use. So we have two-finger tap, pinch to zoom, we can pan. Say we have a large picture, we can pan, which means just clicking and just dragging with your finger, we can pan that image, rotate, and then swipe. And on down, mobile actions. The accelerometer happens to be when you tilt the device. And lastly, we have Air for Mobile, which talks about reorienting your content as well as showing a map of exactly where you are by tapping into the GPS coordinates. Okay, in this case, since I've reviewed all of these, I want to go ahead and add this swipe event because I want to swipe this panel out of the way. So with that swipe event selected, I can go ahead and click Show Code and read about exactly what it does. And I can click Insert. And when I click Insert, it actually gives me this little pop-up notice. It says, you need to replace instance name here with the name of the object. And it's referring to this name right here. As I roll over it, so I get that little pick whip, and I can point to that object I want to add that code snippet to. So I can point to this panel. That's what I want to add that code snippet to. Release. Since it didn't have an instance name, I get the opportunity to give it an instance name. So I'll call it screen 1. Okay. Click OK. It replaces that instance name here with screen 1. Lastly, click Insert. We can see that nice animation. Tells me it puts it in my timeline, and I can open up that Actions panel to see the code. This is very cool and very powerful, this swipe event, because it gives me the ability to detect whether the person swipes left or right, or up or down. In this case, I want to just detect the up and down swipe. So I'll remove this switch event right here for the offset X, which is moving left to right. Get rid of that entirely. And it says if the offset Y is equal to 1, then go ahead. That means they're swiping down. If it's equal to -1, they're going to be swiping up. All right, so this is my skeleton code that I want to use. I'll get rid of that comment. And now I want to go ahead and I'll just pin my code right here so this code stays up. But I want it to swipe out of place. And what I want it to do is I want it to actually animate up that direction. And in order to do that, what I'm going to use is I'm going to use another code snippet. In the animation folder, look what we have here, animate vertically. That's what I want to do. Animate that vertically. I'll just double click to add that code snippet, and you can see it right in here. I'll get rid of those comments. Because when they swipe up, that's when I want this to animate vertically. So on that swipe up, if I just take that event listener and drop it right in here, it will go ahead and animate it up based on whatever's in this function. So in this case, I want it to do, I'm going to do a negative 10 pixels at the frame rate of this movie. So it's going to move it up at sort of 10 pixels at a time. In fact, I'm going to make it go a little faster. I'm going to increase this to about 25. Okay, so they're going to swipe up, it's going to animate up. All right, I want to do the same thing for swipe down. In fact, one thing I need to do before I actually get into that is I need to put some constraints, because I actually want it to stop when it reaches the top right up here. So when it goes right up to about this point, that's when I want it to stop. Okay, so I need to put a constraint in here. I need to say, if this screen one's Y position is equal to the position it's at now, this new position, which is about a negative 570, then go ahead and stop it. And by stop, I mean just set its Y position equal to negative 570. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, if it's less than or equal to, just in case it doesn't land exactly on 570. Okay, so this will enable it to stop. All right, and I'd say this is good. The swipe up is already set. Now I can move on to swiping it back down into this position it was at before. So you've probably guessed exactly how I'm going to do this. I'm going to use that same event listener right here. I'm going to add it right here, add event listener, and I want it to animate vertically back to where it was. Okay, so I need to make a new function. Put it right here, animate vertically back. Make sure these function names are exactly the same. And I want to go ahead and add 25 so it moves it down. So it adds 25 pixels, animates that panel down, and when it ends up back at 0, so again, that panel is going to be right here, right there, just like that, that's when I want it to go ahead and stop. So if it's greater than or equal to 0, then go ahead and stop it. Okay, so that's my animate vertically back, and here's also my animate vertically, which is sort of moving it up. But what I also want to do is I want to make sure I'm removing event listeners, because I don't want these event listeners constantly listening all the time when they don't have to. So with this screen 1, I want it to stop listening when it reaches the top. I want it to stop listening whether it's sort of beyond that point. So I'm changing this add event listener to remove event listener. Okay, when it reaches that point. Same thing, when it animates back into position, I want to make sure to remove that event listener as well. So it gets added when you swipe, and then it gets removed when it reaches its final position. And that's basically how you deal with panels in Flash Pro using action scripts. So you can see what you can do with this. You can animate a number of things, pushing panels off, sliding them on, whatever the case may be. So again, when this gets pushed off, it reveals these photos, and what I can do with these photos is highlight them more. And with this photo, for instance, I want to be able to pinch and zoom on that photo as well as rotate it. So with that photo selected, notice it has an instance name already. I can go into the mobile gesture events, and I can select pinch to zoom event. In fact, all I need to do is double click on it. It adds it. It adds this zoom handler and basically says it's going to use the scale X and scale Y of the device where the person's fingers are at and scale the object up by that amount. Okay, so it just multiplies equals that scale X or scale Y. So that's all you need to do to add any sort of pinch and zoom effect. Really easy to work with. I'll remove that comment there. And lastly, with that photo selected, I want to be able to rotate it and straighten that photo out. So rotate, I can see what it does, read about it, but all I want to do is add it, and it does the same thing. So that event target rotation, which essentially just refers to that port 1, will go ahead and rotate based on the moving of the person's fingers. So gestures are really powerful because I don't have to write all this complex code. It's already built in there, as opposed to touch events might get a little more complex. So I'd encourage you to check out these other code snippets because they're really powerful. But what I need to do at this point is I need to go ahead and publish this out to my connected device. Now, if I go to my properties panel, you can see I have this set up to Air for Android. It could just as easily be Air for iOS, so I can make an iPhone app out of this if I want to as well. But again, Air for Android is what I'm going to pick since I have a connected device. I can check the settings. It's going to go full screen. I can make sure I have a certificate for it. And after publishing, it's going to install it and launch it on this connected device. So this is really exciting. All I need to do is hit publish, and now I can go ahead and check it out on my device. So here it is on my connected device. You can see it's connected by USB. I have the graphics here, and I can easily, with that first panel, I'll just swipe up with my finger. That panel slides off and then stops, because I still want to be able to access that panel. But it does reveal those photos, and then I can go ahead and pinch and zoom to sort of scale up that photo, and I can even rotate with my fingers as well to rotate that picture. So it works really well. I really didn't have to change that code at all, but you can see that works really well as far as using the swipe and gesture rotate and pinch and zoom. So again, the code snippets are really powerful. I rarely have the need to add any new ones because most of the things I need to do are right in here, already baked. All I need to do is just jump in there and modify it for my specific project. So I encourage you to check out Adobe Developer Connection on any specific functionality you're looking for. But thank you so much for watching. I look forward to seeing your app on the Android market or on the App Store as well.